Dear beloved Creator within and without, we gather to acknowledge our unity and our collective purpose. We know from deep within that it is up to each of us to hold a moral and ethical line when seeing it crossed. We ask for your protection, Creator, from all hostility or roadblocks, so that our humankind can live in the abundance and the compassionate world you created. So now as we are putting on the armor of God, it is you, it is me, it is us. We are the ones who are taking this on, and together, because it is our calling to put a halt and then a correction to the harm that is coming to us, and especially at our children. They are the innocent ones. As their protectors, we cannot be naive or uninformed, and so we gather our spirits in your name, Creator of all that is. And so it is.
My name's Ron Vroman. I'm the old white man talking head for the Oregon Statewide Jural Assembly. This is in regards to our 6th grand jury in downtown Portland. I want to give you a little bit of background. A long time ago in 2015, a group called Private Attorney Generals Across America approached the Marco Hatfield Federal Building and spoke with their head guy in the marshal's office, a rude guy in the DOJ's office, and a straight shooter in the courthouse 740. And a guy in the GSA that thinks that he is right to fly a flag with the gold fringe on it when he is wrong. But in any case, that was the initial contact. Then contact came after that again. Then we filed several cases into the U.S. Federal District Court, Portland. And that's an Article 1 court. Then 2016 and Bundy and all of that stuff went down. And bless that jury. And the only people that got convicted in that were the ones that took a bogus plea bargain from the prosecutor. But in any case, we move on to that. We have Trump being elected. So there was a big change. And Trump said he was going to drain the swamp, or others said that he was going to drain the swamp. So Ray Sinkel, Ron Vroman, and Kambiz Murati started a safety committee with the National Liberty Alliance and made appointments with and held meetings with the U.S. DOJ, Seth Thuram, a deputy there. I know, I saw his documents. He brought them out. And 3 marshals. Brian Kelly was transferred. Carl Knobs is still there, and Mark Nordquist is still there. Last I heard. I don't really know because I'm banned from making a phone call there. And the only email that'll respond was Seth Thuram, and he's not responding anymore. So Cam and Ray and I went and met with the U.S. DOJ and the U.S. Marshal Service several times to drain the swamp. During that time, we explained to them 2 things for sure. One is the federal district court Courthouse 740 took money from me 2 times, $400 a pop, when they could not fulfill the contract that they took the money for, and refused to give the money back because they said they had no method of doing so. And the fight was on. But during those conversations, we explained to them what we knew about the Marco Hatfield building being built on Oregon and not being on federal land and not purchased properly, and nothing was correct, and it was all void ab initio. And they refused to acknowledge that. Then we told them all about Article 7 amended and what that meant. And they refused to acknowledge that. So when you tell a responsible government employee like a marshal or an attorney about a felony, then they're guilty of misprision of felony if they don't do something about it. And who more likely to do something about it than the United States Department of Justice and the U.S. Marshal Service? Neither one of them would take action. So from 2017 until now, what's that look like? 5, 6 years? We started the Oregon Statewide Jural Assembly. We knew where we were going, to a constitutional Republican form of government, original jurisdiction, and we've taken all the steps to do so. On August the 1st, which is a Tuesday at 11:30 in the park, we're going to meet, organize into groups of our court. Any 4 members with their bona fides in order becomes a court, and we have 5 incorporated color of law de facto entities to serve. Depending upon how many people show up in the park, how we will do that. The more, the merrier. But as we've been doing this on Oregon through 2 or 3 iterations, we didn't know we were going to call ourselves the Oregon Statewide Jural Assembly when we started. But we didn't know that. But we don't know what's going to happen when our grand jury meets on the 1st either. And that's the joy of having a constitutional Republican form of government. See you then, and I yield. Hello, my name's Ron Vroman. I'm the old white man talking head for the Oregon Statewide Jural Assembly. I want to talk about tells. In gambling, people have tells. When he really has a good hand, he always rubs his nose, or he pulls his chin, or he scratches his right eyebrow. Whatever the hell, there's tells. The people have them. And then there's false tells that good gamblers cultivate also. But let's talk about tells. In this industry of returning to a constitutional Republican form of government, getting back to what's real and getting rid of the de facto and the color of law. And there's a lot of players in that game. And I think a tell is if they're running a seminar, that's a tell. They're in a business to do what they're doing. And like if your business is land grants and water patents and that kind of stuff, and you've got a solid little niche that's working real well for you, and you can put together seminars and teach people how to do that, that's wonderful. That's a business. But if your business is being a false prophet on the stage, such as David Straight and Anna von Reitz and many others, they have a tell. If they've got something to sell, then that's the tell. If they're selling membership, if they're selling license plates and driver's licenses, international concealed carry permits, if they're selling that kind of stuff and they are totally committed to working within the de facto system to make their system work, like Anna, you have to do all of these steps and notify all of these places to do a simple task that shouldn't take more than 5 minutes in the comprehension and two witnesses. It's not a big deal. If you are a man or a woman and you comprehend that, you don't need to go to a seminar. You don't need to be instructed. You've already reached the point where you comprehend. And if you've gotten that far, stop studying. You don't need to know anymore. What you need to do is put into practice what you know. Now, for some reason, the folks on Oregon in the Oregon Statewide Jural Assembly have wound up out in front of this thing somehow. I don't know how, because I didn't even know there was a republic that Ted led and went to jail from until the whole thing was over. Uh, I'm late to this game, and I'm dead serious about this. We need to get this where it needs to be without all the sidetrack bullshit. We don't need to settle counties. And you can't get there with 3 to 5 or 10 people on a state, whether it's a state, commonwealth, or territory, they don't care. That's minutia. We don't need to deal with that. We're going to stay in another form of de facto anyhow. And we're going to follow on and be a state national or whatever the hell without comprehending. But everybody that's in our target market group already knows about assembling. They already know about social compact. They already understand about de facto and de jure. All they have to do is the work. Stop fooling around with all the other stuff. I heard a group, North Dakota, they open their meeting and they go through all of this ritual for security. And how can they possibly even be there? If you have a cell phone and a smartphone, it's all over. You're already so far into the system that, they know exactly where you are if they have your phone number and know who you are, and they do. So, what are you talking about, security? Is everybody that came here and shut the door? Come on. Invite the cops in. When we went to serve papers on the city of Beaverton's police force, Cynthia, Charlie, and I, and we're in their new building's lobby, and people are wearing masks and doing weird, crazy shit. And they're sending cops and uniformed cops out to the lobby to talk to us, but nobody will do the work, take the action. They won't assume the responsibility. And out came a detective. I forget his name, pleasant guy. He knew about me from earlier. And he said, if they cross that line, I'll quit. I'll not do this anymore. And that's being a detective on the police force. Because we told him where it was going. We could see it. Often wondered what happened to him. Anyhow, you have to have the action and you have to take the action. And it's not about filling out papers and settling and writing letters and doing all that stuff. It's about starting a Jural assembly on your state, commonwealth, or territory and knowing what the hell you're talking about, like Ammon over in Idaho. The guy has so much courage. He's such a dumb cowboy. He still thinks you can pick up the turd by the clean end. It is impossible to deal with the de facto. You have to eliminate the de facto. You have to know where in the Idaho history they flipped Idaho into one of the states of the incorporated state of Washington District of Columbia. Idaho's still a territory. Oregon was the last state. But until we get to the point where everybody comprehends that, then you cannot get past the fraud. You're stuck in the fraud. And if you're in the fraud, you're in it. That's it. There's only one way out. That guy from New Mexico told us. He said, straight ahead. It's the shortest way out. Keep going. So we got to wrangle all of you folks out there that are already assembled and already understand social compact. And like there's 7 or 10 on California that are just, their names jump into my head, but they won't get together and do the work. They want to go to another seminar and listen to what Russell J Gould has to say. Who gives a shit? That will not get your constitutional Republican form of government back to you. You have to do the work. You have to have the paperwork done. We somehow figured out how to do it. Took us 5 years. Actually knew it for probably 3.5. Took a long time to prove out. But all you folks in the other 32 states and 17 territories, and in those 32 states, I know there's some commonwealths, all you folks have to do the work. You have to have a Congress assembled. You have to have a social compact. You have to have your bona fides in order before you can go to a gathering of the several states. That's where we have to go. That's where we have to be. You can't do it digitally. You cannot give your oath, a proper oath to a proper constitution, with God included. You can't do it digitally. You got to get the flesh, blood, soul, body, mind, spirit together and do the job. And it's not about figuring out how to do transportation, and it's not about figuring out how to deal with the medical hypocrisy. I know we have to do that, but that's not where the job is. The job is really quite simple. After you rebuild several automobile engines, you know what you're doing. You have done it. The next one you'll do better because you know more. And it's harder to do the first one than it is to do all the rest. We all know that. Lots of people never got as far as we have on Oregon. And other people have gotten this far and not done the job. They have gotten to the very finish line and failed. We just can't do that. We have said from the very beginning, you got to have a grand jury to listen to the facts and to make a determination, to give true courts a true bill to do the work, and to give prosecutors the information they need to prosecute the evildoers. And they have to do it in a de facto form of government. They can't do it in a de jure form of government of the bar. It is not going to work. You cannot make a deal with the government on Idaho to stop stealing your kids, Ammon. You have to take it back. You have to return to de jure. You can't form an organization that's going to stay in touch and put 50 people at a hospital to protect somebody's civil rights. No, the concept is wrong. Ammon says he's never had a fight or thought an evil thought. And I think, oh my God, that's why they've taken such advantage of him. No, the fight's on, and you have to pay attention to the tells. And they're telling us a lot of information. It's all over the internet. There's people that love the hopium, and I love them. Positive influences everyone. But oh my God, what will we do if the earth is really a flat disk? Now, that really throws some stuff in the game. And the game that we're talking about here is returning to a constitutional Republican form of government in a de jure law form. This year, 2023. Now, we're going to have a grand jury meeting August the 1st, downtown Portland. And we're going to do some business. And we have the only Article 3, Amendment 7 court of record in the 50 states, commonwealths, and territories known as the United States. Maybe the United States of America. So, if you're in Portland, August the 1st, downtown, in the park, at 11:30, stop by and take care of your responsibilities of being a man or a woman on the land and soil. And I yield.
They do not want to let go of this. They do not intend on losing here. And we do not intend giving it back to them.
And then the bullets started flying. Then he jumps out of the car. And he's got both his hands up. And he got out of the car, and he had his hands in the air. He's like, just shoot me then. This is what you want, to shoot me. And they did. They shot him dead. With his hands in the air, and I saw it. I swear to God. He was just walking with his hands in the air. And they shot him. And they shot him dead, and then after he was down on the ground, they shot him 3 more times.